My action plan reflection for week 5, part 1. So the 6 purposes of movement are preparing the brain, providing brain breaks, supporting exercise and fitness, developing class cohesion, reviewing content, and teaching content. But these are the ones that I found that I feel comfortable that they're ready for implementation. So purpose 2, 3, and 5. My reasoning behind this is that purpose 2 with providing brain breaks, they're easy to implement. Stretching, standing, playing a brief game, they're quick and pretty painless. The kids like them as they have that immediate gratification. So that's something that I feel confident to implement and something that I've been doing since the start of the course. Purpose 3, supporting exercise and fitness. This is something I feel confident about because this is something that we already do. Hosting a race in my class is something that I'm doing to get my learners ready to learn for our unit. We're reading the story Raymond's Run, and so they'll be running a 50-yard dash just like the main character Squeaky does to get a feel for that and to have that be more memorable for them. Purpose 5 is reviewing content. Scavenger hunts and relays especially are things that I enjoy. They're always better than a booklet or flashcards. The more that I can get kids off iPads and able to review in collaborative, movement-based ways, the better. And so this is something as well that I feel ready to implement and also have been implementing in my classroom. Purposes 1, 4, and 6, I don't feel like I'm quite ready to fully implement. The first one, preparing the brain, this one seems simple like a brain break, but the start of class for me is focused on grammar, and I squeeze that in and really try to maximize that time. So in order to do this, I would need to allocate time to create a set system, preferably student-led, and this is just something that's going to take time for me, and also for the students to get used to. Because they're in middle school, they have a transition period in between classes, and they transition every 46 minutes. So this makes it difficult to have them get settled and then get them back up again, because in some form of a way, their break is the walking to class, but I do think I could do a better job in the future of helping them strategically prepare their brains. Purpose 4 is this development of class cohesion. Taking a whole period of ELA for class community feels like a big sacrifice for me. So something I'm thinking is like maybe at the end of a unit or in a half day in the future. This is not something that I have planned. This is not something I'm ready to fully jump into, though we do have a period throughout the day of advisory where we do things like this that are more team building, but I'm not ready yet to implement that for my ELA classroom. And then finally, teaching content. I just need to generate ideas, really sit down and think. A lot of times these things come to me, so I do think that taking this course is going to just get my mind thinking about movement in the classroom and how I can do that more through, do more movement through teaching, and use like the movement to be the teaching instruction tool rather than like a packet or a slideshow or a video. But it does feel like a big risk for me if it's done improperly. So the kids go out and they play or they do this activity, but they don't remember anything about the content. So that feels a little bit risky for me. But I think with thought and with time, that's something I could implement in the future, at least for a lesson here and there. 5 ways this course has changed my beliefs about movement. Here we go. Number 1, movement is necessary for brain function, oxygen. Understanding that when you sit for a long time, your brain lacks oxygen. Oxygen flows out and it's harder to think, harder to retain information. And this is something that I've actually passed along to other people in my life, making sure they're not sitting for long periods of time and trying to grind out work in that way. Secondly, movement increases student motivation. It seems self-explanatory, but I think it's something that I forget really easily, that kids like to play, kids like to move, especially 6th graders that I teach. So I want to make sure that if I see that they're not motivated, just throw in a brain break. They clearly need a little break. Let's just stand up. Let's do some jumping jacks, things like that. Movement strengthens classrooms. I ran cross country and track. I've seen this in sports. I understand that movement creates bonds. Even playing with other people across cultures, when I've traveled throughout the world, I can see that movement unites people in ways that even language can't. But I forget this, and so this has been a really helpful reminder, and really pooling that information and transferring it into the classroom and not just in my travel experiences. Number 4, movement in the classroom promotes overall well-being of students. They're going to be healthier, they're going to be more motivated just within their lives in general, and it sets a precedent. I hope the things that I teach them extend beyond 6th grade, and I'm not just teaching them how to read and write, but I'm also teaching them life skills that I want them to take beyond the classroom, and movement and being active is one of those things that I can impart to them. And finally, no movement robs students of what they need for success. I think during the first week there was a TED Talk that we listened to about how kids in the 80s are like they were stronger than kids are now and more resilient, and that impacts like their brain function in school and their ability to be resilient and strong and motivated. And so the flip side of number 4 is that if I'm not incorporating movement into the classroom, I am literally robbing students of parts of their childhood that they aren't going to get back, and their brains are going to develop differently because of my lack of movement in my room, making them sit and write and read and hate their lives. So that was something that really stood out to me from taking this course. And finally, my 4 favorite movement activities. The over-under relay. I tried that out as a brain break. My kids thought it was silly and they felt uncomfortable at first, but then they got used to it. And it was just really good to develop coordination and teamwork, and they strategized and improved each time they did it. So that was really cool to see. Just a simple jumping jacks brain break is one of my favorites because every kid knows how to do jumping jacks. They're quick, they're easy, and they're effective. The cardio review is a whole group review that I really liked, just to be able to go over the basics, even just like reading comprehension, having multiple choice questions, but incorporating that through movement. And this will be especially helpful. I'm envisioning once we get toward PSSA time, we get state testing happening. And so this will be a great way for kids to not just, again, hate their lives, but like, let's move, let's review, but keep our bodies healthy too. And finally, the relay review. I really like this. I think it's a great way to develop class cohesion within a review, and it's fun, easy to play, and the kids, they really like it in the ways that I've done it. I like the suggestion of changing up the movements and maybe even changing the distance of the relay space. So those are some of my favorite things that I've picked up throughout the course. And so that's all for now. Thanks for listening.